Hello viewers, this is the Coach Courier Show. My name is the MBA, the Men and Boys Ambassador. We are right here to talk about different issues of life and more specifically, the mental health of a businessman. Well, we are seated right here at the golf course in Ngong Racecourse, and we are excited to be served some nice tea and very nice meals by Mbuzi Manch restaurant. So when you're around this side, please make a point of visiting them. I love their mbuzi, it's sizzling. Well, I'm joined by the coach himself, the one and only, the man who's gone through around the world, done business, been there, done that, been a father, you know, and he's here to tell us his story. Coach, VP.
For MBA. Yeah, I like your description. I gone through the world. I wish I could. Indeed, some of those things that are painted by businessmen, you know, flying from East Coast to West Coast, having dinner in Washington and waking up in New York, and having lunch at Dubai.
Is it a reality or it's just something that
sometimes it's
we
not
see on
so.
adverts?
Sometimes not so. I've had the privileges of being in a dozen of countries and done business mostly in the Middle East and Hong Kong, China. But what is painted sometimes is not exactly what you see. A businessman, especially a businessman, and a man of faith,
Yes.
a father of teenagers,
Yes.
separated with quite a gap. It's almost a chalice of poison. It's a lot of work.
So in here, we want to explore the life of a businessman who is a man of faith, the life of a businessman who's gone up and down in business and gone through challenges that many of us are facing today, and many of our viewers are facing, especially the man who hardly speaks about his challenges. And so it boils down to mental health. We'd also want to hear this beautiful, wonderful lady behind this great man.
Wow, I give credit to my wife. She's the most stabilizing factor of my life. If she wasn't there, I don't know what I could be. We'll talk about that in another day. But let me say this, that if there's anything that is going to come out of this, if there's something I really want to emphasize, the issue of mental health. There's no health without mental health. There's no wellness without mental health.
So true.
There's no spirituality without mental health. And therefore, mental health makes it's very, very key in our lives. And being a businessman, being a man of faith, sometimes there are disconnects. And we could be so excited by our faith, and also probably a leader in a manner, in one way or another. And everybody looks at you and thinks you're very successful, you're doing well. They look at you and I wish I could be half of that particular man. But deep inside you're crying out for help. Deep inside you're crying out, I wish this pressure could get out of me. I wish I could get some of this stuff that is, overwhelming my heart and my mind.
Coach Courier, are you trying to tell me that I can be in a congregation, but I'm alone?
Indeed, you could actually be in a congregation and you're all alone. Because you probably, your weights are not my weights.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, sometimes there's a place prayer can take you to. There's a place where fasting can take you to. But I'm telling you, there's a place where also that armor is not useful. And you probably need to talk to somebody. You probably need to have somebody ask you, oh, what's happening, brother? How are you? I haven't seen you in a week's time. Sometimes we are too busy with our stuff. We are too busy with the razzmatazz of church. And it's nice, I love it. That we forget that we
Why do you call it razzmatazz?
It is nice because, right, it is nice. You can go to the presence of the Lord. And as I was saying earlier on, you worship, tunainuka,
tunainama, tunainuka,
you
tukisema
see
wewe
the
ni Bwana.
greatness of the Lord and you in His majesty. But then again, the same song speaks to you about your ups and downs in life.
Tunainama, tunainuka, tukisema wewe ni Bwana.
Tunainama, tunainuka,
Tukisema wewe ni Mungu. But in our going down, it resembles the same way life. We fail sometimes, but we have to keep moving. So we have to stand up.
Indeed, we have to. But I keep seeing it that in a way, when we're getting out of a depressive situation or a situation that is stressing us, it's like going through the wilderness. And the wilderness has its challenges, but it also has its miracles. Because in those particular times, just looking at the children of Israel, for example, I don't want to be so biblical, but let's borrow a little bit of it. The children of Israel were used to making bricks, and that was the mentality they had. But what is this that changed these people, that became people who can make a law and a constitution that makes Israel the best of it? There's something about the wilderness that changes your mind.
So we have to go through the tough times in life, but manage our depression levels.
I wish we didn't have to. I wish we didn't have to.
Wow, our viewers, we are packed, and we have the coach himself talking about life, making this thing called church, this thing called business, this thing called life, bringing it down to a palatable level where we can all understand, relate with, because he's here with his story. And we're here to unpack Coach himself. And he tells us, why Coach?
Coach, comes back to what I said. That, that a coach is a person who actually talks to a person and is able to get the very best of you. It's not a person who offers a solution. The person who believes the solution is within you. But sometimes, because we are so clouded by our failures and the things that's around us, we are induated by voices that have put us down. And it has actually gotten into our minds and made an indentation that you can actually not remove so easily. That every time you want to rise up from a fall, that tape starts playing and again and again. So our coach comes in and tells you, hey, Dada, what's up, man? Is that something that we can talk about? How are you feeling? What are the solutions? It's not somebody who gives you a solution, but somebody who helps you to ask the right questions. And I love it. I've seen people change. I've seen people, come out of their closets. There's nothing as nice as when you ask the right question and you bring the girl and you take her to her, when she was a little girl, and you see her face brighten up.
Coach, the MBA happens to be a mental health practitioner. And I'm listening to the coach, and I'm also relating with what I have to do many times. Listening, supporting, and helping people find their path. Other times is about identifying matters of depression and seeing how best do we address this and what is the best approach. Besides working together with other practitioners like the psychiatrists, there is value in people visiting facilities, getting to work under a coach or getting to work under a psychologist or getting to work with a counselor or getting to work with a psychiatrist so that they can get a balance in their lives. Life is about balance.
Indeed.
So how have you been able to balance these things?
Well, I can't completely say that I've been able to balance. There's sometimes I'm off balance. I want to confess, and I've told you once, many times, that at times I've suffered depression myself. There are times I've locked myself and I don't want to get out. I don't want to talk to anybody. At a particular time, I've had a suicidal thought, and people would not believe it. But what I'm saying is this, that we need to accept that there's a place for prayer. We need to accept there's a place of faith. We need to accept that, as the scripture says, that our weapons are not carnal, but they are mighty through God. But there's some other weapons that God has given us beyond prayer. There are other stuff that God has given us beyond fasting. I believe there are some things where somebody will say, go pray in the secret of your closet, and God who sees it all will answer and glorify you in the open. And we go into our closets and pray and fast, but we are embarrassed in the open.
Oh yeah. It
There
happens.
are different weapons, and it's not an indictment to our faith. It is not an indictment to the men of God who lead us. It is not. No. But there are things that we really need to understand. That if coaching becomes the catapult, ama ile fair, you know, if the fair fits to hit Goliath, use it. You know, I mean, if nobody is going to chase a business, a spoiled business with prayer. There are principles that you have to follow.
Yes.
It's just you pray, you know, there are principles that you have to follow in business. And whether or not you're a believer, those principles will work.
So they have said, I'm not the one who's saying, but they have said, believers make the worst of business people. What do you have to say about that?
They also make the best of business people. I wouldn't say so to generalize. We have believers who've done good businesses, you know, real serious businesses. But I'd love to hear more Christian businessmen coming out and saying, this is me. This is how I got to do it. We see the razzmatazz and the glory, but we do not dig down there and understand
how did
that man who is standing there, that man who's running an empire and a Christian has gone through issues that probably none of you would understand. Somebody would say, I wish I was him. But probably if you're given half of what that particular person is going through, you probably will say, forget about it. Therefore, I really want this forum to be a forum where we can talk, where we can be vulnerable. Where we cannot just talk about the big, wonderful things that, you know, God has done for us, but talk about the pits, the wilderness.
You know, Kuria, when you say this, and I have had an opportunity to listen to you before this show, and I still remember one thing that makes me laugh when I'm doing my cleanup in the house is your story in Rwanda. Can you give us just a little bit of Rwanda?
Wow. Rwanda, it's one of the stories in my book. One particular time, one of those moments, when we went down financially, I didn't know exactly what to do. And here we are, I'm at home, my businesses have gone down, and I decided, okay, Rwanda is the place where everybody is going and making money. And you know, crazy as I am, and those are the kind of things that you ask, is it faith, is it foolishness, or presumption? Because you need to put these things in the right perspective. But I thank God for that story, because what happened is, I took my only family car.
Oh no.
And I sold it.
You sold what?
Yes, my family car. And I decided...
was it with consent or without?
Yes, it was with consent. And I guess I thank God for my wife. Sometimes she allows me to get into that. And it's good to have a good wife who allows you to dream. And not put a wet blanket on you. And that's one thing that we of course talk about. And I remember calling, I run a workshop, we do a lot of things. We do appropriate technology, we do stainless steel products. Not then, but now. But then we were doing appropriate technology. One of the products that we were doing were candle making machines, we were doing soap making machines, we were doing recycling machine. Indeed, I later made a factory, a recycling factory.
Congratulations.
Well, we thank God. But that particular time caught me with this full of faith, and I saw I'm going to conquer Rwanda. And here I am. So I made some kind of candle making machines. I dragged my technician along, got into Kampala coach. And all the way I was in Kigali.
Oh no.
Wow.
Gari imeingia machine. The car has moved into
Imekuwa so
transformed into a machine.
Yes. And here I am, we're going to Rwanda Expo, and we're hoping that that during the Rwanda Expo, we have people from DRC and WhatsApp who will sell this machine and get orders. My faith was like this. I believed God, I declared. I got out of Kampala coach, removed my shoes, prophetically touched the ground,
You know?
and claimed the land.
Hey!
I said, this is my land.
Wow.
Got back my shoes. I went to the place that I was going to sleep. So the expo came and we set our machines. Wow, day 1, nobody comes. Day 2, you are talking until you know you. Umeongea mpaka mate imeisha. Showing them, demonstrating how the machines work, how you pour in the candle. You start telling God, yes, this is it. So I pass through there. What do you say? So I pass through.
The valley of the shadow of the death.
Yeah, you shall,
I will not fear.
I'll fear
Hallelujah.
not. So there I was declaring. The second day comes in. And people flowing. Do you know, at the end of that particular expo, we were not able to make sales. So slowly, dejected and feeling like God has let me down. Imagining how I don't have a car back home. I just decided, no, I'm not going home.
Hold it there. Friends, we are getting into the depths of this. Yes. We are right here. And he's taken us to Rwanda. The Rwanda Expo, sold his car, and now no sales after the expo. What happens next? Keep watching us. We are right here at the Coach Courier Show, and we are going to be bringing you more stories because right there is an issue of depression.